All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to talk about a system with a really bold promise, turning your business from this thing that just eats up all your cash into a machine that actually, reliably makes you money. I mean, if you've ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels, running hard, but getting nowhere financially, yeah, you're going to want to stick around for this. Okay, let's just get real for a second. Does it feel like your business is basically a cash-eating monster? You know the feeling, right? You land a big sale, the money hits the bank account, and then, poof, it vanishes, just swallowed whole by expenses. Look, this is an incredibly common feeling for business owners. It's a total trap. But the good news is, there's a way out. Now, this is where things get a little weird. Because it sounds nuts, right? But sometimes getting more sales can actually be a bad thing for your business. We're all told that growth is the holy grail, but what if I told you a huge spike in sales could sink your company just as fast as having no sales at all? How on earth is that even possible?
Well, the root of the problem, it turns out, is this formula. The one that's basically drilled into our heads from day one. Sales minus expenses equals profit. Now, logically, that makes sense, but behaviorally, it's a disaster. It literally treats profit as a leftover, an afterthought, whatever scraps might be on the plate after everyone else is eaten. And that right there is a massive psychological trap.
And here's why it's a trap. It's something called Parkinson's law. But let's just be real. Expenses will always rise to meet income. You make more money, you find more things to spend it on. It's like if you get a bigger house, you suddenly need more furniture to fill it, right? This isn't because you're bad with money. It's not a character flaw. It's just how we're wired as humans. So the secret isn't to fight our nature. It's to build a system that works with it.
So, how do we do that? How do we outsmart our own brains? It all comes down to one incredibly simple flip of that old formula. It's a tiny change, but it changes everything. Okay, so look at this. On the left, you've got the old way. Sales minus expenses equals profit. But on the right, the profit first way. Sales minus profit equals expenses. The math? It's exactly the same. Logically, nothing is different, but the way you act is completely transformed. You're now paying yourself, the business owner, first. Profit isn't a leftover anymore. Expenses now become the leftover. You can only spend what remains after you've taken your profit.
And this is what the author, Mike Michalowicz, really nails. He says the magic here is that this system speaks to human behavior. You can stop trying to white-knuckle your way to being more disciplined. It's exhausting, and it usually doesn't work. Instead, you're creating a system where being profitable is the default, the easiest path forward.
The best analogy for this is dieting with smaller plates, right? You don't have to count every calorie or use a ton of willpower. You just naturally put less food on a smaller plate. Taking your profit out first is like giving your business a smaller plate for its expenses. It automatically forces you to be more innovative and efficient with what's left. Okay, so the idea is simple, it's powerful, and it makes a ton of sense. But how do you actually do it? How do you make this a reality in your own business? Well, it's not just a mindset, it's a physical system for your money. The foundation of this whole thing is to physically, and I mean physically, separate your money into 5 core bank accounts. All your revenue goes into one account called income. From there, you'll move money into profit, owner's comp, that's your salary, tax, and whatever is left over goes into Opex, or operating expenses. And yeah, I'm talking about setting up actual, real bank accounts, not just categories in your accounting software. Now here's a pro tip to make the system basically temptation-proof. You take your profit and tax accounts and you open them at a completely different bank. Why? Because it puts friction between you and that money. Out of sight, out of mind. When cash feels tight, you won't be as tempted to borrow from your profit or tax savings. Think of it as a financial firewall. And this whole system runs on a really simple, steady rhythm. Twice a month, say on the 10th and the 25th, you log in, you move all the money from your income account into the others based on your percentages, and then you pay your bills only from what's in your operating expenses account. That's it. It takes the chaos out of cash flow and turns it into a calm, predictable habit. And now for the best part, the reward. Every single quarter, you go to that profit account that's been building up and you take 50% of it out as a distribution, a bonus, a reward for being a smart business owner.
This is not your salary. This is the whole reason you took the risk of starting a business in the first place. You get to celebrate your success.
Okay, so once you have that basic system in place and humming along, it's time to pour some fuel on the fire. Let's talk about a couple of tactics you can use to really supercharge your results and accelerate your profitability.
First up, if your business is carrying debt, this is your attack plan. It's called the debt snowball method. Now, mathematically, it might seem weird. You actually ignore the interest rates. Instead, you list all your debts from smallest to largest, and you throw every extra penny at the smallest one first. Why? Because getting that first quick win gives you this huge psychological boost. It creates momentum, and you take that payment and you snowball it onto the next smallest debt, and so on until you're completely debt-free.
All right, tactic number 2 is all about focus. It's about applying the 80-20 principle, also known as the Pareto principle, to your business. And the idea is breathtakingly simple. For most businesses, about 80% of your profits, your actual real profits, come from just 20% of your clients.
Just look at what this means in reality. You've got this small handful of amazing clients that are basically driving your entire business forward. They generate almost all the profit. And then you have everybody else, the other 80% of your clients who bring in very little profit, and let's be honest, they're probably causing 80% of your headaches too.
So when you see it like that, the goal becomes brutally, beautifully clear. You have to fire your worst clients, the ones who drain your time, your energy, and your profits. And then you take all that freed up energy and you focus it on one thing, cloning your best clients. Serve them better and find more just like them.
So, when you put it all together, the new formula, the bank account system, and this laser-like focus, that's when you finally tame the cash-eating monster. That's when your business truly transforms into a money-making machine. Let's visualize what this new reality actually looks like.
First things first, before you can start allocating money, you have to know what your real starting number is. We call this real revenue. This is super important. It's not just your total sales. It's your top-line revenue minus the direct costs of what you sell, like materials or subcontractors. This final number, that's the actual pool of cash you have to run your entire business. Everything else is just pass-through money.
And here's how it all comes together. This is a sample breakdown. You take that real revenue number and you distribute it according to your target allocation percentages, or TAPs. Now, your numbers are going to be unique to your business, of course, but the principle is what matters. You are proactively telling every single dollar where it needs to go, and you always start with profit.
And that really brings us to the final, most important point. Once you get this system running, the entire relationship you have with your business changes. It stops being a source of stress and becomes a stable, predictable asset that serves you. So that leaves just one last question for you to think about. What would you actually do with a business that consistently, reliably, and predictably pays you?